morning, and welcome to the Barbara Christensen VlogCast. I am Barbara Christensen, your ingredient guru, your health and wellness coach, and hopefully becoming your friend. So today I'm going to, ramble about a few different things. But the first thing I wanted to talk about is here in Washington State, we have already seen 24 deaths, I believe, from the flu this year. And I know that everyone has a different philosophy on vaccines, as you should, because every individual is different. And I love that our doctor is very much about determining if you're going to do a vaccine based on family and the individual person. And so I will tell you that myself and my daughter had the flu vaccine. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to get the flu. And they've been very vocal about saying that they didn't quite get the vaccine right this time. But what I can tell you is that if we get it, it will be to a lesser extent. And being that I have severe asthma and my daughter has severe asthma, well, that's very important to me. And so I think that if you just do a black and white, then there's either all vaccines or no vaccines. You're not really doing what you need to address our population. So, we also do essential oils to boost our immune system and make sure that we have foods that are boosting our immune system. But we forget things like, how important just washing your hands are. If you go back to where the idea of washing your hands for health comes from, it actually comes from 1846 from this Hungarian doctor. And he was an assistant professor at Johns Hopkins School of Public Health. And so, this was a time when, physicians had to have that scientific training because they were starting to realize that just because you were sick didn't mean that you had an evil spirit in your body, if you know what I mean. That honestly, that's where a lot of our history of medicine was before that. And so it was interesting that there was this illness, and he noticed that whenever, there was someone that got sick, that it often was, passed along, and sometimes it was passed along to the pathologist. And he realized that the pathologist had the same symptoms and had died from the same thing as a woman he had autopsied. And so he realized that if a woman was pregnant and got sick and died in childbirth, that it wasn't necessarily what they called childbed fever. And so why were more women dying from this childbed fever, this illness, in their clinic than when they went to the midwife? And so by noticing that this pathologist had died from the same thing, he was able to realize that it was the particles that from the disease, from the corpse, that got the pathologist sick. And so what he started doing was ordering his staff to make sure that they didn't just use soap, but they cleaned all of their instruments in their hands with a chlorine solution. And so we know today that chlorine is about the best disinfectant out there. That's why it's so overused. And we now know that there are other natural ways of disinfecting. But he did that because he thought it would be the best way to leave less smell behind on the corpse. And once he started this, then hand washing and this thought of cleanliness became something that was the most important tool in public health. And especially with our little kids, they often forget to wash their hands. And so as parents, that's our job, is to remind them to wash their hands. I'm not saying that you should be doing the antibacterial either, because, I take aloe vera and put several drops of my immune-boosting essential oils in it, and it has a really nice natural antibacterial property to it, and I use that on our hands as we're out and about. And so, really think about this seriousness of hand washing and kind of be a little bit at awe of how it came about as you're thinking about, health as we're going into this, new year, because, health is everything. There's so much more new research that's out there. I want to talk a little bit more, but I'm going to wait until next podcast to talk about the Stanford and the Alzheimer's cure that they think that they may have. But, they have a new study that says that having a good outlook on your life is good for your heart. Well, haven't we known that for a while, that attitude affects, we always say attitude affects your altitude, but attitude affects your health. It affects your overall positivity. They've shown that with cancer patients. They've shown that again and again, that if you have a good attitude, that you're going to be healthier. Now, this isn't the first study that came out between this positivity and healthy life, or the first one that came out that says if you're positive that your heart is healthier. And so what can you do to impact that attitude as you start off your day? Well, one of the things that I've been doing in my little power hour is I do my workout and then I do my meditation. And I am so type A. For me, sitting down to meditate is like, the hardest thing you could possibly imagine. Imagine something that's so difficult for you that you just can't do it, and that is me in meditation. I just can't stop my brain. And so for me, I do a guided meditation. And if you go just to like YouTube and type in guided meditation, you can find a variety of everything from 5 minutes to 20 minutes to an hour. Pick what is going to work for you. The other day, I just could not wrap my head around it. So I only did a 5 minute. Generally, I do between a 20 to 30 minute meditation. And it really does impact how I go into the rest of my day. You have to focus that attitude first thing. I know if you've ever noticed, if you wake up, you stub your toe, then you're going to spill your coffee, then you're going to hit every red light, and you're going to have just the worst day. And I believe that a good portion of that is the attitude and what you're manifesting. And so you have to look at things in the best light in order to see things in the best light. And when you see things in the best light, you look at things differently and you make different decisions. That's why I believe that, this manifestation is very attached to how you're thinking in that thought process and that attitude. And so that's another thing that's really impactful when it comes to your health. Obviously because it's the beginning of the year, we're all talking about diet. And for the past, it's been a little over a year, I think, since Dr. Michael Mosley came out with the documentary he did on fasting. And out of that, what he took away was what he called the 5-2 diet. And it's a process of intermittent fasting. And so he's done books, and there's been other people that have done books. And what it is that 2 days per week, you do a mini fast, where the idea is to go 14 to 18 hours without eating, and during that day you eat about 600 calories. The other 5 days a week, you just eat normal. And, scientists are really starting to look at this, a year later, because they've started to see. And that's how science works. They start to see things and they go, oh, maybe we should pay attention to this. And so one study was done at the University of Manchester, and they followed some overweight women and put them on this 5-2 approach. They lost more weight and body fat and improved their insulin resistance compared to women who followed a traditional diet of limiting calories 7 days per week. How cool is it that you can just, for someone that has an insulin resistance problem, you could just do this? Because what we generally tend to see are these women who have this insulin resistance issue, and nothing is working for them to lose weight. And so what they do is they go on this almost hunger strike to lose weight. Well, what if you could just do that hunger strike 2 days a week? Do you think that you would eat healthy the rest of the week? Do you think that you'd actually, follow that? Because what happens is that your body starts using up the stored glucose, which is the fuel for your body, and it starts burning the fat. And so, that's where that idea of the keto diet comes from, because fat converts into this compound called ketones. And they are very beneficial in making our neurons more resistant to injury, and also helping us starve off brain disease. And so they're looking at this and how the effect is on our brain as well as our waistline. But the problem is when you go into this long-term ketosis, that your body says, wait a minute, we're going to starve, and now I'm going to have to start storing as much fat as I can because I don't like this. And so this is something that, could be really bad for somebody who gets fixated on something, or that has an eating disorder, or just anyone with a health problem. And so, obviously the recommendation before you start a program like this is that you discuss it with your physician or your nutritionist or dietitian and see how this would work for you in creating this, 5-2 fasting program. But, really the way that it's going to work best is on your 2 days, just make sure that you choose the right foods. Make them higher protein, make them higher fiber so that you don't feel as hungry. Stay away from the sugars. Don't go out to eat on those days with your friends. Don't walk into Starbucks with your friends. And just make sure that you are thinking about this as almost like a 2-day-a-week clean and detox for the system, because that's really what it's going to be. You might find that you're a little tired at first, and then you might find that you are sleeping better after doing it for a few weeks. There's a lot of reasons why we are so tired in our life. A lot of that has to do with the chemicals and hormones. If you're skipping your workout, then you might be having like crashes throughout the day, and you want to make sure that you're getting that little bit of 20-minute workout in so that you're not so tired during the day and you sleep better at night. I'm big on the small workouts as much as possible. It also could be hydration. Not having enough water dehydrates you. It increases your histamine levels. It reduces the speed that you get oxygen and nutrients into your muscles and organs. It reduces your blood volume. There's so much that water is meant to do in our bodies that if you're drinking a cup of coffee right now while you're listening to this, you're dehydrating yourself even worse, because that's what caffeine does. So make sure that you're pumping the water back in after you finish your cup of coffee. You also could be tired. I've talked a lot about ferritin levels and low iron. It could be that you're not getting enough iron, or you're not pairing it with the right foods, or you have a leaky gut. So, you can have pastured eggs are great, the green leafy vegetables, nuts, pairing that with a good vitamin C high food, perfect for the iron absorption when you eat them together. But if you haven't had your ferritin level checked and you're feeling really tired, then I recommend doing that. I also recommend having your vitamin D looked at. This time of year, vitamin D, very low. I take between 4,000 to 10,000 units a day. You want to talk with your doctor and have your blood results done before you decide how much you're going to take. But most of us need more than what the recommended 400, I think it is, in our life, especially during the winter, and especially if you live north of Atlanta and you're not getting 20 minutes outside in the sun every day. You're going to have to supplement. Make sure you're supplementing with a good plant-based, whole food vitamin D. You also, could be struggling because you are such a perfectionist that you're not taking the time to get enough sleep, or your projects are causing you to be paralyzed with anxiety and exhaustion, and you just, you feel like you're running to catch things all the time. There's always tomorrow. Don't, overthink it. There is always tomorrow. Have a good night's rest, go to bed on time, get up, have a good breakfast, get your blood and your oxygen flowing, refuel, boost your metabolism, and take on your day tomorrow. There's always tomorrow. Think about some automation. I train my clients in automating as much of their business as possible. And think about that, because the more of your life that you can automate, the more of your life you can put towards the things that are the most important to you. And part of that automation is meal planning and having those healthy foods prepared and ready to go, and something that you can just grab. Or if you do have to go through a drive-through window, make sure that you know which ones have the healthier foods and get that rather than getting a burger and fries. Be prepared to say no when somebody offers you a cupcake. You don't have to always say yes. And that's the same thing when we're talking about doing a project for someone. You don't have to accept everything. You don't have to take on every client. Your time is precious. What you're offering should be elite, whether it is baking cookies for the soccer team, or if it is volunteering in the classroom. Pick the ones that are the most important and don't take every one of them. The more you take on, the more struggle and frustration you'll have, the more it will zap your energy and the less happiness. And 2015 should be your year of happiness. Now, think about things that you can do to help you focus in on quality of life more. Think about the fact that maybe you should unplug for totally a day of the week, keep you at a higher level of productivity because you're not burning out. It allows you to really unwind and rejuvenate and connect with the people that mean the most in your life. And you can do better this year. You can be better this year. There's nothing that's going to stop you besides yourself. And so, really think about this. Really think about, I posted on one of my pages about how when we are looking at our tablets at night or our phones at night, that backlit screen can make a mess out of our natural circadian rhythms because it suppresses the melatonin. And then that's what regulates your sleep naturally and your waking naturally. But more and more we're going to bed instead of picking up a book, an actual book with pages, we're picking up a tablet, and we don't realize how this is interfering with our sleep. You have to turn off to turn on health. So turn off some of that in your life that is causing these health stresses and return to a happier place and a place where you're going to have natural energy, you're going to feel better, and you're going to accomplish more in this next year. Honestly, there's so much going on in our lives these days that, our ultimate goal should be to make things better, not make things worse. So that's my little amazing mantra for you for this year, is make things better. And so this is Coach Barbara, and you can find me on the websites that I have listed below. I'm at Bija Coaching, and the Paleo Veggie, which is the Paleo Vegetarian. You can find me on Facebook, and I will talk to you soon. So take care. Bye-bye.